And the next aspect we're going to be talking about is white balance. White balance is essentially how much blue and yellow there are in an image. Now, those two colors balance one another out. We call it warmth, for example. We don't realize this, but when we're actually looking around, if we're inside a room or if it's a cloudy day, there's actually a lot more blue in the environment than there is yellow light. And the reason for that is things like clouds or shade tends to filter out a lot of the yellow light more than it filters out the blue light. Now, our brain knows this and accounts for this. And so all of the time when we see, there's no color bias. Now, the camera does something similar. It also is able to work out how much blue and yellow there is in a scene and account for this and find a good midpoint. Getting your white balance right is really important in photography because if we don't get it correct, we're going to misrepresent the actual colors as how they appear. It's one of the most common issues that I see in the work of amateur photographers is that they're not correct to the white balance. Even though the camera itself can read a scene and make a decision about what it thinks the white balance ought to be, it's often not quite perfect. And that's why we have this. This is a gray card. And what a gray card does is this particular gray here is called 17% gray. And the companies that produce these good quality gray cards guarantee that this gray is exactly the correct gray. And we can do one of two things with this. We can actually have the camera itself sample the white balance from this gray point, or alternatively, we can take a picture of this and we can copy and we can sample it in editing software. Final reason that white balance is really important is, say, if I was doing some pack shots of 100 different products for a company, and it's just the product against a white background. If I don't get the white balance spot on with every single one of those images, you're going to see some fluctuations where some are looking more white and some are looking more yellow. And another reason, like I was talking about earlier with exposure, if the white balance isn't correct across all of the images, if I was to composite those together, it would look weird. It wouldn't work because they would have different amounts of blue and yellow in it. One final aspect I'm going to talk about when it comes to white balance is sometimes we actually want our images to be a bit more yellow or a bit more blue. And this is just because they have an emotional effect. So it tends to be that an image that is more yellow, we call it warmer, has that feeling. It feels warmer, it feels more friendly, it feels more inviting. And this can be great for our marketing imagery where we're trying to convey that emotion. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, where we have images that are more blue in tone, they tend to feel a bit colder, a little bit closed off. And again, if we're trying to affect a certain emotion, it's a great way to achieve that.